Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, man, is it good to be back or what? Is it good to be back or what, man? Oh my goodness. Felt like it's been a while, but I did stream last week, so it wasn't too bad. I did stream last week, streamed that week, only that one day. Then before that, it was the 2 weeks. Been pretty inconsistent, but I have a good reason, and you guys will be seeing soon. And after that whole situation is resolved, then you guys will be seeing me. You guys will be seeing me, more frequently. You know, I just been, there's been a lot of ups and downs within uh within my direction and my plan within this life. And you know, you can never really plan stuff. You can never really have things go your way. You could write as many things as you want to do, and one thing might get wrong. It's always a 50-50 type of chance. But yeah, man, overall I'm good. I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are all healthy. I hope you guys are all feeling good, feeling fresh within this morning. It is the morning. It is a little bit of a different time. Oh yeah, actually, I was actually gonna mention to you guys that I will be streaming later today. I'm just returning just to just to chill with you guys, just to chill. I just want to get back into the groove of things and remember why I started streaming, and I know the reason I started streaming, and it was because of these type of streams right here, and I just need to, find my footing back, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. So, but yeah, overall, I do miss you guys. Uh, Overall, throughout this end of this month to the start of the month, you guys will be seeing me hopefully consistent. I will definitely be here with you guys more and more. It's just like life, life just happens sometimes, man. It just happens randomly, and it gets a little bit chaotic, and you know decisions get made, and maybe things fall through, and I don't know, you get stressed and get overwhelmed, and it's just like, it's just a chain of attacks, and it's okay for things to happen like that, but it's about bouncing back and learning from that lesson and learning what to do next. And I guess it's a good segue into what we're, I guess, learning. Not even learning, but I guess we're just, we're gaining knowledge. We're gaining knowledge, which is learning, like, basically. But we're gaining knowledge over temptation. And I know you know what temptation is. Everybody knows what temptation is because everybody has dealt with temptation in a certain type of way. And there's different ways to temptation, you know. There's the alcohol, the drug route. You can get tempted into going down that route and maybe trying through influence, through friends, maybe through videos, through movies, anything like that. Number two, you get influenced to do bad things like steal, rob, I don't know, shoot guns, do anything that the propaganda on the propaganda on on the internet freaking shows you, of what's cool and I don't know what's cool and what's hip, what's hip out there, what's going on with the trendsetters. And I'm a young individual, but I'm not really, I don't know. I think I'm a little bit wiser above my times. I can't really function with I can't really function with my generation right now. But I know there is a small margin. There is a small margin that understands that we need to lock in and we need to focus. And we have the most potential because we have the most resources to do a lot of things. And yeah, I think temptation stops a lot of that because temptation is one of those things where it's actually one of the things that you can't run from. You can't run from it. I mean, sorry, excuse me. Temptation is one of the things that you can't fight it. You cannot fight temptation. You cannot go face head on with temptation and think that you're going to win because you will lose each and every single time. The only thing that is told on what to do with temptation is run away or go to the Lord, call upon the Lord for that peace, you know, for that peace. And yeah, temptation, man. Temptation comes through a lot of things. A lot of things. People, videos, movies, family members, siblings, relatives, everybody. Anybody you can think of, temptations is linked through everybody in their own personal type of way through some type of problem that they need to resolve on their own, alcohol and drugs, falling into the wrong habits, lust, even lust, going up, going on that website, going on your phone and doing that and wasting your time. Dangerous type of temptation that will damage you in the future. You really got to watch out for these things. These things are nothing to play about and something that you need to call upon the Lord and ask for that type of peace. It's really the devil working towards you through that, through the material things, through the satisfying things, the things that will make you feel good in the moment, but will disappear just like that. It'll disappear just within a second. And when it disappears, you're gonna want to go ahead and crave for more. And you're gonna go ahead and keep going for it. And little do you know, it's gonna damage you. It's also gonna stop you, prevent you from doing certain things that you want to do. Also, time's gonna pass. Time is gonna fly when you're under temptation, you know? And there's also a thing where people get persuaded or not persuaded but pressured. They get pressured under temptation. And you just got to stand your ground. I feel like that really happens from the younger crowd of the younger group. I don't know about the adults. If you are an adult and you can't stand your ground and say no to something that you don't want to do, then you gotta look into yourself and really build up that confidence within yourself. But if you are on the younger side, you know, um, it's okay to make a mistake like that. It's okay to do something wrong, something that you shouldn't have, and it's okay to fall under the pressure because we all make mistakes. But next time that happens, stand your ground and say no. And so what? They don't call you cool or they say that you're different, man. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. It happens more than you know. Definitely more times. Definitely more now than ever before, you know. I have I have family that comes up to me and tells me these things, It's crazy. It's crazy. Temptation is definitely a dangerous thing and it's something that we can conquer together. So let's conquer it together, you know? And the way that we will be doing that is not by listening to me, because there's certain temptations that I fall into and that I need to stand my ground on and move forward about it, look past it, and focus on what I gotta do. We all fall into temptations, and it's okay. Even lust, you know, even looking at someone lustfully, it's just not right. So, we gotta lock in. And the way that we will lock in is watching this video. It's called Man Who Masters His Temptations Masters His Fate. And it's actually only an audio video, so we will only be hearing the audio of the video, so that's okay. Man, I see a lot of comments. I see a lot of people. Let's read the okay. Let's read the comments first before we enter the video, okay? Because this is a long one. We will be here for a while. This is about an hour-long video, so we're really about to take a history lesson. So let's lock in together, guys. Let's do this, man. Somebody said, Halo Juice said, I'm deciding to not let porn ruin my life. I'm tired of the addiction. That's good. Good for you. I'm slowly breaking out of depression because of my porn addiction. I'm back to my routines of working out so I can be a testimony. So I can be a testimony of it, so I can overcome this. Anybody can. God, myself, and the gym is my focus. Prayers, brother. I'll need all I can get. Prayers for Justin. Justin is working hard. You know what I mean? Like, if you think that you cannot achieve anything, even the littlest, the smallest amount of effort, and you feel like you can't do it, I'm telling you, you can. And if you don't get it, at least you tried. You know, keep trying. Believe within your heart. A lot of people will tell you no. A lot of people will tell you this and that. A lot of people will have their doubts, but it's about you believing in yourself. That's the only thing. This person said, brothers, hear me. Fasting is the foundation, but the discipline you wish to acquire. There's a war going on inside every man that the Bible states plainly. Okay. It was the greatest weapon for me against lust and still is. Start small. If you've never done it and work your way up to longer fast, you will be amazed. You will be amazed at the benefits. Okay, so this guy is saying to fast. That's one of his recommendations, to fast. Me personally, I never tried fasting, but I did hear it's a way of intense, what is it called? Like intense prayer. Some people pray and they fast. Like on like, how on Sunday you go to church, or at least for me, when I was a little bit younger, I went to church on Sundays. For certain people, on Sundays, they fast. And yeah, I think that's amazing. I think that's definitely something to look up if you're interested. It's definitely something I'm interested into, so I would definitely be looking it up. So we will see. 1 week from not pushing. Hold on. This person said 1 week from not pushing play, and my flesh is screaming out. But it led me to this message, and I'm putting this in my arsenal. Staying strong and worshiping God. Indeed, indeed. Lust is strong. Lust is probably one of the strongest of the bunch. And actually, to retract my statement, I think the statement that you gotta run from temptation is actually for lust. You gotta run from lust. You gotta run from lust. You can't hide from it. You gotta run. You gotta run from it. You gotta run from it at all means. You can't play with it. You gotta, telling you, you gotta skedaddle. You gotta hit the dash. You gotta hit the dash, man. This person said, I got scammed by a woman I met online. She was Venezuelan. Said she had no family, parents dead, no kids, no one. She told me she was about to sleep on the street. I decided to help her and sent her money to come to my city. She asked for some, then more, then more. I kept giving because she made me lower my guard with sweet words and fake interest. I was afraid of losing her and kept investing more. Finally, I realized she was just using me. I lost the money, but I learned the lesson. Never send money. And if they ask for money, that's a red flag. Loneliness can make you an easy target. Don't be like me. Control yourself. See, that's one big example. That's one big example of lust. Not saying this guy was lustful, but this girl's kind of like charm in her attitude and the way that she was talking to him, he kind of got persuaded. He got persuaded. So he kind of fell into that category, but not fully. So, and he wanted to hold on to her afterwards. So, that's something that can happen if you do not let temptation take you over. Ooh, I just seen a good video. Oh my god, we might have to react to two videos potentially, but no, no. Let me hurry up so I can react to this because this is 1 hour long. All right. So this person said, I am over 120 days semen retention, and I gotta say, the benefits are immense. The discipline required flow to other aspects of your life. There's physical and spiritual benefits to it as well. I have a video on my channel, but I recommend it to every man. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay. This person said, this person left social media. Okay, that's cool. I'm not gonna lie, I want to leave social media too. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's too much, bro. It's too much going on. It's too much dumb stuff going on too. Too much stuff to rot my brain, bro. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the video. The video is called The Man Who Masters His Temptation Masters His Fate. Let's do it.
Every man is being watched by God, by his future, by the destiny that waits for him on the other side of discipline. And whether a man realizes it or not, every day he steps onto a battlefield, not with swords, not with enemies, not with armies, but with the most dangerous force he will ever face, his own temptations. Temptation is not a small thing. It is not a side quest. It is not a minor inconvenience. Temptation is the spiritual enemy sent to test the strength of your character and the alignment of your soul. Every temptation is a question God asks you. Who are you becoming? The man of your destiny, or the man who collapses under himself? Because here's the truth most men never want to admit. Your fate is not stolen from you. You surrender it. And you surrender it the moment you allow temptation to weaken your mind, corrupt your habits, and fracture your focus. Temptation attacks men in silence, not through loud battles, not through obvious threats. It comes quietly, through comfort, through pleasure, through impulses, through emotions trying to hijack your judgment, through desires that whisper instead of roar. And this is why most men fall, not because they are weak, but because they aren't awake.
You know, it's weird. It's actually weird because it's weird that the things that make us feel good are bad. And the things that make us feel bad are good and beneficial towards us. It's absolutely insane, and it just messes with your brain sometimes. And I can get I can get the reference with everybody, like falling into this same mistake, you know? And no doubt about like myself, I've definitely fallen into temptation, into problems. It's just tough. You gotta be tough. You gotta be tough with yourself. You know, not brutally tough, but more of just, being a supportive type of tough. Um yeah. Pleasures of the world, very, very dangerous. They feel good in the moment. They might be amazing, the best time of your life, but they won't be worth it 5 to 10 minutes later.
The modern world has trained men to believe that temptation is harmless. Just one more time. Just this once. No one will know. It doesn't matter. And more importantly, your spirit sees everything. When you fall to temptation, even in private, your soul records it. Your confidence feels it. Your discipline weakens from it. Your destiny shifts because of it. Temptation isn't just about sin, it's about self-betrayal. A man loses respect for himself long before he loses respect from others. A man folds internally long before the world sees him collapse externally. A man destroys his potential long before life destroys his opportunities. And it begins in the quiet moments where temptation asks you, are you a servant of discipline or a servant of desire? Here's the hidden truth. Every time you resist temptation, you don't just say no to a moment. You say yes to the man you're becoming. When you resist temptation, you strengthen your will. When you resist temptation, you sharpen your mind. When you resist temptation, you align yourself with God. When you resist temptation, you take back control of your fate. But when you give in, you don't just lose control of the moment, you lose control of your direction. Temptation is the thief of greatness, not because it steals your gifts, but because it tricks you into burying them. The enemy knows he can't destroy you directly, so he tries to make you destroy yourself quietly, with small compromises, consistent indulgence, tiny moments of weakness that pile up until they become your character.
Literally, it's a big you versus you battle. You're damaging yourself. You're damaging your future opportunities. Literally, this person just said it. It's absolutely insane how the devil tries to get within you. He cannot get within you on the outside, so he tries to get you inside, you know, your soul, inside the things that you desire, inside the things that inside the things that you enjoy, which aren't good, but they're enjoyable, but they're bad. And yeah, man, you just can't fall into it, you know? The one thing I wanted to say was um it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough. And throughout the whole journey of you working towards who you're gonna be, like this person was saying, just always have it in your mind that this is gonna benefit me to become the person who I want to become, you know? And do that in the most healthiest way possible while staying in the present, you know? Like don't work yourself hold on. Give me a sec. There we go. I was gonna say, don't work yourself. I'm yapping right now. This is a long video, and I'm yapping right now. But don't work yourself to the point where you're just tired and you're overwhelmed and you're just doing too much. Give yourself that grace. Give yourself that peace. Love yourself. Work with yourself. You know.
Temptation is a seed. If you water it, it becomes a habit. If you repeat it, it becomes a pattern. If you allow it, it becomes a chains. And chains are not broken by wishing. They are broken by mastery. A man who wants to shape his fate must first shape his impulses. A man who wants to stand with God must first stand against himself. A man who wants strength must first overcome the desires that weaken him. This is why men who master temptation walk differently. Their posture changes, their tone changes. Their confidence becomes unshakable because they know, I can command myself. When a man can command himself, no temptation can seduce him, no distraction can mislead him, no voice can intimidate him. Because he has done the hardest thing any man can do, he has conquered the enemy within, and that enemy doesn't disappear after one battle. Temptation returns. Temptation evolves. Temptation studies your weaknesses and comes back stronger. But every time you win, you rise. Every time you reject the impulse, you level up spiritually. Every time you shut the door on temptation, you build a fortress around your destiny. The truth is harsh but liberating. A man who cannot say no to himself will always live a life he never wanted. A man who cannot discipline his desires will always be a prisoner. A man who cannot master temptation will bend to whatever pulls him.
That's actually a good way to look at it. It's a really good way to look at it, and it's facts. If you cannot master your temptation, you're a prisoner of it, and it controls you, and you can't get out of it, and you're in support of it, and you need it. It's dangerous, bro. It's dangerous. And this is actually a really good video to look at and to put into perspective of the way, I don't want it that way. I don't want to be a prisoner to something that I can control so easily. Man, yeah, temptation, y'all.
But a man who masters temptation becomes the architect of his fate. He doesn't live reactively. He lives intentionally. He doesn't collapse when life hits. He stands because he's trained himself to stand. He doesn't break under pressure. Pressure reveals him. Most men pray for strength, but refuse the battles that create it. They want purity without cleansing. They want discipline without sacrifice. They want destiny without refinement. But you are here because you're called to something different. You're not here to be average. You're not here to exist half awake. You're not here to be ruled by impulses like a man without direction. You are here to rise above the noise inside you. You are here to walk as a man who refuses to bow to fleeting desires. You are here to build a mind that cannot be bought by pleasure, a soul that cannot be moved by temptation, a character that cannot be shaken by weakness. Ask yourself, what temptations steal your strength? What impulses pull you off your path? What desires distract you from your purpose? Be brutally honest.
The time is now. The time is now to act. To do whatever you want to do, the time is now. Act towards your dreams. and you will see the results of your hard work if you start right now. I know, man. I know. You just want to chill. You want to do whatever. You want to party. You want to go ahead and party. You want to go ahead and hook up with the next girl. You want to go chill out with the bros and smoke. Nah, no. Drop all that. Get in the gym. Get your face in the books and get on your knees and pray to the Lord. Because this is the way and this is the right way, man.
Because honesty is the first blade a man uses to cut the chains around his destiny. Temptation isn't random. It attacks where you are vulnerable, where you are undisciplined, where you are unprepared. But weakness is not permanent. Weakness is a test, and tests are opportunities for transformation. Temptation is proof God is shaping you. He doesn't test men He has no plans for. If you feel the weight of temptation, it's because you are being prepared for a greater level of responsibility, a greater level of mastery, a greater level of purpose.
This is going to be a quick pause, I promise. But if you ever feel like all the odds are coming against you and everything feels heavy in the moment when you were working hard, striving towards your goals, everything's going towards a steady incline, and a whole bunch of bull just starts happening, a whole bunch of stuff just starts happening, a whole bunch of bad, tragic stuff just starts happening and just ruining the plans. Just know that's a test right before you're about to win. It's there to decide whether you give up or you go ahead and you keep on fighting, you know? So go ahead, next time you're on your arc, think about that. Because it's the truth, without a doubt.
Temptation is not punishment. It is preparation. Here is the spiritual truth. God doesn't want perfect men. He wants disciplined men. Men who fight. Men who rise after falling. Men who choose alignment over indulgence. Men who say, my desires will obey me. My mind will obey God. That is the man who shapes his fate. That is the man who becomes unshakable. That is the man who stands in storms without collapsing. And every time you win the internal battle, you become more dangerous to the forces trying to stop your destiny. Because now, you're not just a man, you're a disciplined spirit, a forged soul, a warrior of self-control. A man God can trust with influence, purpose, and responsibility. Master your temptations and you master your life. There is a truth every disciplined man eventually learns. Your public victories are built on private wars. The world only sees the results. Your growth, your composure, your strength, your clarity, your rising influence, your unshakable presence. But none of that happens in front of people. It happens in the places no one applauds, no one claps, no one validates, no one witnesses. It happens inside the unseen spaces of your life, your mind, your habits, your late nights, your internal conversations, your silent battles against impulses trying to hijack your destiny. This is why a man who masters temptation becomes formidable, because he doesn't just fight when people are watching him, he fights when no one will ever know. And it's in these silent battles where God evaluates the substance of a man. The unseen moments define a man's future. When the temptation hits, to take the easy path, to indulge the desire, to escape discipline, to fall into the old version of yourself, that moment is the gate between your past and your potential. And every time you resist, you build a new future. Every time you bend, you reinforce the old one.
It's just about routine. Just about routine and just consistency, you know? It's just about that repetition within that one routine that you're doing of maybe, let's say maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe, I don't know, every single time at lunch you gave yourself a piece of carrot cake or something like that. Then now you make within your schedule to take out that carrot cake within your schedule and switch it with a treadmill run, you know? One simple task done to make your day different, you know? And it sounds like common sense, but I guess it's hard for some people, temptations. Like I said, the whole like, you know, the whole point of view is on temptations. One of the hardest things.
What you choose in private eventually becomes the life you live in public. Temptation always shows up where the stakes are highest. Your time, your energy, your body, your focus, your faith, your loyalty to your purpose, your obedience to God. And the enemy knows your weak points, not because he is strong, but because most men are careless with themselves. You must understand this. Temptation is strategic. Temptation is patient. Temptation is precise. It waits for the days you feel tired. It waits for the nights you feel isolated. It waits for the moments your confidence dips. It waits when you are frustrated, unfocused, emotionally charged, spiritually ungrounded. The enemy never wastes temptation on a man who is fully aware. He waits until you drift, even a little. That's why the greatest battle is not your temptation, but your attention. Where your attention goes, your resistance weakens. That is why a man who masters his fate learns to guard his mind like a fortress. He doesn't expose it to everything. He doesn't consume anything mindlessly. He filters the world. He chooses what enters his eyes, his ears, and his spirit.
My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. I was checking something out. Give me a second.
Because whatever enters you will grow in you, and whatever grows in you will eventually govern you. Temptation is most powerful when the mind is unfocused. But when the mind is disciplined, temptation loses its teeth. This is why God trains men through silence, through stillness, through private battles that feel almost invisible to everyone around you. When God is preparing you, He often isolates you, not to punish you, but to strengthen you, so that you learn to stand on your own 2 feet, without validation, without applause, without external support. You learn to fight temptation alone so that you can stand with Him publicly. Every strong man you admire endured a war you will never hear about. The war against laziness, the war against lust, the war against doubt, the war against anger, the war against fear, the war against pleasure that steals purpose, the war against impulses disguised as normal behavior, Mastery does not happen by accident. It happens through repeated refusal to betray yourself. A man becomes noble, not by what he achieves, but by what he refuses to indulge. A man becomes strong, not by what he lifts, but by what he can lay down. A man becomes wise not by what he knows, but by what he can resist. Temptation always presents itself as something small. One moment, one click, one break, one indulgence, one emotional reaction, one escape from discomfort. But small temptations lead to massive consequences. Nothing destroys a man overnight. It happens gradually, quietly, incrementally. A small surrender today becomes a bigger surrender tomorrow. A small weakness repeated becomes a personality trait. A single compromise becomes a lifestyle. But the same is true for discipline. One victory today creates a stronger victory tomorrow. One act of self-control builds a life of mastery. Momentum works both ways, toward greatness or toward collapse. And the direction is decided not by motivation, but by your relationship with temptation. Here is a truth most men never hear. God doesn't send great destinies to men who cannot govern themselves. Not because he wants to withhold from them, but because he refuses to let blessings become weapons that destroy them. A man who cannot master temptation cannot manage influence. He cannot manage responsibility. He cannot manage leadership. He cannot manage abundance. He cannot manage spiritual authority. So God tests your private battles before he trusts you with public victories.
Oh yeah, like in a way it almost feels like the first step. Like the first step to achieve every single milestone within your life, you need to get over temptations. You need to get your focus on the right thing. Get closer with God. Praise his word. Follow his way. You know? So think about that. If you are in that position, think about it. If not, then congratulations. And if you are having some troubles, you might want to click off this video because it's about temptation. It's not about whatever you're dealing with. But yeah, temptation though. Gosh dang temptation.
Temptation is your training. When you resist it, you are not just showing strength, you are building it. Every resistance adds weight to your spiritual muscles. Every refusal adds steel to your character. Every disciplined choice sharpens your destiny. Every no you tell your impulses becomes a yes. God can give your future. You are not just fighting random urges. You are forging the man who will carry the life you are praying for. You must become dangerous to your weakness. Not through aggression, but through awareness, through discipline, through spiritual grounding, through self-respect. Weak men fall into temptation because they have no structure, no standards, no sacred boundaries, no spiritual perimeter. But a man who knows God walks with systems, boundaries, and purpose. He protects himself intentionally. He eliminates openings that allow temptation to enter. He creates distance from anything that weakens him, even if the world calls it extreme. Because he knows, the man who guards his environment guards his destiny. Temptation is not conquered in the moment it appears. Temptation is conquered in the lifestyle you build long before it arrives. Here's the difference between a weak man and a disciplined man. A weak man reacts. A disciplined man prepares. A weak man waits until the temptation hits. A disciplined man structures his life so the temptation has no room to thrive. A weak man falls and wonders why. A disciplined man stands because he chose to be unshakable before the battle even started. You are not fighting temptation. You are being sculpted by it. Every challenge is shaping you into a man who can handle more. More purpose, more responsibility, more influence, more spiritual authority. God is not just strengthening your self-control, He's strengthening your calling. And the man who can control his impulses will one day command his future. This is why you cannot take temptation lightly. It is the training ground for greatness. It is the sharpening stone for your destiny. It is the fire that burns away weakness. A man who masters temptation walks differently because he knows, I have defeated what was meant to defeat me. He earns a confidence that can't be faked, a peace that cannot be bought, a clarity that cannot be imitated. Because he didn't just pray for strength, he earned it. He didn't just ask for mastery, he built it. He didn't just wish for destiny, he protected it. And every time temptation comes back, he smiles. Not because it's easy, but because he knows the war is already won in the moments no one sees. Before a man ever loses to temptation in his actions, he loses to it in his thoughts.
Okay.
Every downfall begins as a whisper, a suggestion, a small permission, a silent negotiation in the mind. That's why the greatest war of your life is not fought with your hands, but with your attention, your focus, your interpretation of reality, and your internal dialogue. The mind is the throne of your destiny, and temptation is always trying to steal that throne. If your mind is weak, your future will be weak. If your mind is undisciplined, your choices will be undisciplined.
Hold on, y'all. Just had to do this real quick. Found my next favorite YouTuber.
Your mind is unguarded, your life will be unguarded. A man who does not take responsibility for his thoughts will become a slave to his impulses. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Take every thought captive. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Thoughts shape beliefs. Beliefs shape decisions. Decisions shape habits. Habits shape identity. Identity shapes destiny. So the battle always begins in the mental realm. Temptation doesn't start as an action, it starts as an idea that whispers, just this once. It's not that serious. You can start again tomorrow. The enemy doesn't force you, he influences you. He plants subtle lies that feel harmless. He makes compromise look logical. He makes impulse look like relief. And a man with an untrained mind believes whatever feels comfortable in the moment. But a man with a disciplined mind recognizes the lie the moment it shows up and crushes it before it grows. Your mind is a battlefield. Treat it like one. Most men leave their mind wide open, consuming anything, watching everything, entertaining every thought, indulging every emotion. And then they wonder why temptation defeats them so easily. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly expose it to. If you feed it noise, you become chaotic. If you feed it lust, you become weak. If you feed it negativity, you become broken. If you feed it comfort, you become soft. If you feed it truth, you become unshakable. What you allow in your mind today will become your master tomorrow. A king does not let just anyone enter his palace. A warrior does not let the enemy stroll into his camp. A man of God does not let poison enter his spirit. So ask yourself, who and what have you been allowing into your mind without permission? Mental discipline is spiritual discipline. Do not separate the two. Your spirit is strengthened by your thoughts, and your thoughts are governed by what you allow yourself to consume, focus on, and meditate on. A man who prays but doesn't discipline his mind prays for freedom but lives in chains. A man who seeks God but doesn't govern his thoughts asks for strength but feeds his weakness. A man who wants destiny but entertains destructive ideas kills his future with his own imagination. Understand this deeply. You can't outpray the thoughts you refuse to control. You can't outwork a mindset you refuse to confront. You can't outdiscipline desires you continually feed in your mind. This is why mastery begins in silence. Take away distractions and you face your real self, your fears, your cravings, your wounds, your impulses, your habits, your inner arguments. Most men run from silence because silence reveals truth. But the man who conquers silence conquers himself. Because in silence, you learn to hear your thoughts. And when you hear them clearly, you learn to separate lies from truth, impulses from wisdom, temptation from purpose. A disciplined man is not just a man of action, he is a man of mastery over what enters, what stays, and what dies in his mind. Temptation thrives in unexamined thoughts. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs you to stop thinking, to drift, to react, to follow emotions instead of principles. Your mind must never be a passive space. It must be a guarded territory.
What is the biggest thing that you guys deal with that's like a real problem within your daily life? You know, I want to hear it. You know, what is something that you guys deal with that is, wait,
A fortress be a passive space. It must be a guarded territory. A
sorry, I just had a brain fart. I just had a brain fart. I don't know what. Yeah, let's just forget that happened. But yeah, what's like, you know, one big problem that you guys deal with on a daily level? You know, for me, sometimes for me, I'm an overthinker. You know, I overthink everything. You know, it kind of just overwhelms me, and it really does prevent me from doing a lot of things that I want to do in my daily life. I also do have, I do have, I was gonna say I have a little bit of anxiety, but people have anxiety within every moment. People are gonna feel anxiety in different moments, but yeah, I just feel anxiety in different moments. But my main thing that I deal with is overthinking. So let me know what you guys deal with. You know, this is a free space. You know, comment whatever you want to. The arms are open. Arms open for you guys.
fortress of awareness. And a fortress has three things: walls, boundaries that protect your focus; guards, beliefs that filter your thoughts; leadership, a clear purpose that directs your attention. Without these, your mind becomes a playground for temptation. Here's what most men fail to understand. Temptation is not seeking your pleasure, it is seeking your direction. If it can direct your thoughts, it can direct your life. If it can influence your internal world, it can dominate your external world. If it can enter your imagination, it can rewrite your destiny. So the question is not, will I face temptation? But how fortified is my mind when temptation arrives?
Yeah.
Your mind must become a place where weak thoughts cannot survive. Discipline is not just about controlling behavior. It's about creating an environment where destructive desires cannot grow. That means removing triggers. That means avoiding familiar traps. That means limiting indulgences. That means restructuring your life around purpose, not comfort. A disciplined mind rejects anything that endangers the man he is becoming. He knows every thought is either building his destiny or breaking it. Every imagination is either sharpening him or weakening him.
Yeah, facts. Facts, man. Facts. Facts. Let's get a replay on that.
Every imagination is either sharpening him or weakening him. Every internal dialogue is either lifting him toward God or dragging him back into darkness. He treats thoughts like seeds, and he refuses to water the ones that will grow into chains. Strong men don't control everything, but they control what matters, their mind. And this control gives them power that is rare in today's world. A man who owns his mind becomes unpredictable, untouchable, and unstoppable. He cannot be manipulated by pleasure. He cannot be seduced by shortcuts. He cannot be shaken by emotions. He cannot be controlled by circumstances. He cannot be dominated by cravings. Because he knows the mind is the general, the body is the soldier. And destiny follows the general. Let me tell you the truth. Temptation doesn't want your peace. It wants your purpose. It wants the man you could become. It wants the legacy you could leave.
Yeah.
It wants the calling God placed on your life. It wants the spiritual authority you are growing into. If the enemy can distract you mentally, he can derail you spiritually. He can weaken your discipline. He can blur your clarity. He can fog your judgment. He can numb your conscience. He can clutter your purpose. But when a man sharpens his mind, temporal temptations lose power and eternal purpose takes over. This is the transformation God desires, from reactive to intentional, from emotional to stable, from impulsive to principled, from scattered to focused, from worldly to spiritually anchored, from mentally weak to mentally fortified. This is how a man becomes trustworthy. This is how a man becomes dangerous to the enemy. This is how a man becomes a guardian of his own destiny. He wins the battle long before anyone sees the result. He wins in the mind. He wins in the inner world. He wins in the thoughts he refuses to entertain. Because the truth is simple. You cannot fall to a temptation you never allow into your mind. No man rises by accident. No man becomes unshakable by luck. Strength is carved on the battlefield within. And temptation? Temptation is not just the enemy. It is the examiner. It stands at the gates of your destiny asking one question: are you worthy to enter? Every time you resist what weakens you, every time you silence the cravings that drain your power, every time you choose order over chaos, purpose over pleasure, mission over mood, you are not just winning a fight. You are building a throne inside yourself, a throne where your higher self rules, a throne where your discipline speaks louder than your impulses, a throne where your spirit sits as king and your desires kneel. Because here's the truth most men refuse to face: you can't lead a life you can't control. You can't ask God for elevation while you're still bowing to your urges. You can't claim greatness when your habits drag you like chains across the ground. To master your fate, you must first master your appetite for laziness, your appetite for instant gratification, your appetite for validation, your appetite for distraction. These are the invisible addictions that quietly assassinate men before they ever rise. But the man...
Do you ever get like a scolding or like a parent reprimanding you and like telling you what's right from wrong? And like maybe you're a little kid or maybe you're a teenager and you're like looking down and you're listening and they're speaking straight facts. It's like this. It's like this moment right here. This guy is speaking straight flames.
Who conquers himself, he becomes a weapon in God's hands, a vessel strong enough to carry destiny, a warrior disciplined enough to walk the narrow road, a king wise enough to guard his own crown. And when you begin to win these internal wars, life responds, heaven responds. Even people around you respond, because they can feel the weight of a man who governs himself, a man who doesn't collapse under pressure, a man who doesn't betray himself for temporary comfort, a man who carries a sacred authority earned through sacrifice. This is the truth. Self-control is spiritual power in physical form, and the man who masters temptation becomes unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because he gets harder to break. This is where your fate begins to bend, not in the world outside you, but in the world inside you, where the real war is won. There comes a moment in every man's life where he stops asking, "Why is life so hard?" and starts declaring, "I was built for this." That shift, that inner turning, is the birth of the self-governed man. Not a man ruled by impulse, not a man steered by emotion, not a man carried by comfort or cravings, but a man led by conviction. A man who understands one timeless truth: if I can rule myself, nothing outside can overthrow me. 1,000 storms can hit him: temptation, fear, delay, stress, rejection, but they don't dismantle him anymore. Why? Because he has become his own anchor, his own protector, his own commander. He has rebuilt his life from the inside out. His mind is no longer a battlefield, it is a fortress. His discipline is no longer a struggle, it is a lifestyle. His emotions are no longer dictators, they are advisors. His temptations are no longer victories for darkness, they are reminders of who he refuses to be. And something powerful happens when a man reaches this level. God trusts him with more responsibility, more wisdom, more opportunities, more influence, more weight, because he can carry it without collapsing. He becomes...
I was going to apologize for being so quiet and being so focused within the video, but we're watching the video together, guys. You know, I might be the streamer, I might be reacting, giving my commentary and stuff like that, but I'm in taking the straight knowledge this person is given. So listen up, because I'm going to go quiet for a few and really hear what he's talking about.
Becomes a pillar, not just in his own story, but in the lives of those around him. They walk softer around him, not out of fear, but out of respect, because there's a certain gravity in a man who has mastered himself, a certain presence, a certain silence that speaks louder than noise. This is the man who no longer chases validation. He generates it. He no longer begs for discipline. He embodies it. He no longer avoids difficulty. He confronts it with calm authority because he knows who he is, and the world can sense it. The heavens can honor it. Even his enemies can't deny it. This is the rise of the self-governed man, a man who no longer bows to temptation, a man who refuses to betray his mission, a man who carries himself like someone God can trust with destiny. This is the man who becomes a force, a standard, a symbol of inner mastery, a living reminder that greatness is not achieved through talent or luck, but through ownership of the mind, discipline of the flesh, and loyalty to the spirit. And once he becomes this man, his fate cannot be taken from him.
Yeah.
Because he earned it within. There's always a final battle. Not with the world, not with your environment, not with your enemies, but with the man you used to be. He doesn't disappear easily. He doesn't retreat quietly. He waits in the shadows of your thoughts, hoping you slip, hoping you forget, hoping you fall back into his arms, the arms of comfort, desire, distraction, and weakness. The old you doesn't want to die. He wants to drag you back into the patterns that kept you small. He wants you impulsive. He wants you addicted. He wants you easily influenced. He wants you spiritually blind. Because he knows something terrifying. If you outgrow him, you become unstoppable. So part 6 is the moment of confrontation, where the new man clashes with the old man, where destiny wrestles with dysfunction, where purpose meets the poison of past behavior. This battle is not loud. It's quiet, internal, sacred. It happens in the privacy of your thoughts, in the decisions no one sees, in the temptations you face alone. The old self whispers, just this once, you deserve it. No one will know. It doesn't matter.
Probably one of the biggest and hardest battle that anybody has to deal with is within yourself. Because, you know, you can get as much help as you want, but at the end of the day, it's only you. It's only you, and it's about you to figure out your problems within this life. You know, you gotta function. You gotta do certain things to function and to be who you want to be within this world, you know? About that hard work and dedication.
But the new self speaks with divine authority. I know exactly what this will cost me, and I refuse. That's where transformation becomes irreversible, in the refusal. Not because you're perfect, but because you're committed. A committed man is dangerous. A disciplined man is unshakable. A self-aware man is rare. But a man who can look his old self in the face and say, "You will not lead me anymore," that man is reborn. Then something shifts. You start noticing the traps before they appear. You recognize the patterns before they repeat. You feel the spiritual weight behind every tiny decision. You start choosing long-term over instant pleasure, purpose over pleasure, God over impulse. And in that moment, you become a man your old self never imagined you could be. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You outgrew your urges. You out-disciplined your temptations. You out-faithed your past. The man who masters his temptations becomes a guardian of his fate. His steps become steady. His spirit becomes sharp. His heart becomes aligned with heaven. And for the first time, the old self stops chasing you because he knows he can't follow you where you're going next. When a man finally rises above his temptations, when he stops being led by impulse, by lust, by ego, by weakness, when he masters the battlefield within, his destiny changes. Because destiny is not something you stumble into. Destiny is something you qualify for, and the man who conquers himself meets the qualifications heaven has been waiting for. This part is the part where God starts trusting you with weight, with responsibility, with purpose, with opportunities, with battles that matter, with victories that elevate not just you, but everyone connected to your life. A man who has mastered his temptations is no longer a liability. He becomes an asset to the kingdom. He becomes a vessel, a weapon, a light, because God cannot build a kingdom on a man who falls every time his flesh calls. But he can build nations on a man who says, I choose strength over impulse. I choose purpose over pleasure. I choose God over myself. And here's the truth most men avoid. Every time you choose discipline over temptation, you're not just avoiding a mistake, you're advancing your future. Every refusal becomes a brick in the foundation of your destiny. Every moment of self-control becomes proof that you can be trusted. Every temptation resisted becomes a spiritual promotion. This
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say that, a big thing is that you gotta trust yourself. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can give yourself that grace saying like, oh, my legs are sore. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a break from the gym today, but I'll go back tomorrow. You're giving yourself that trust to go back to the gym tomorrow and put the effort in that you missed the day previous to go ahead and rest, instead of work. And then the next day comes, and guess what? You back home, you know? And then it becomes a consistent routine of the same thing. And that's where you set the belief of, I'm just going to say this to make myself feel better, but I'm not going to do it. You got to when you say you're going to do something, do it and show that you're going to do it,
is why ancient warriors spent years mastering themselves before they ever touched a battlefield, because the greatest wars are won long before the enemy appears. This is also why prophets, sages, and kings endured seasons of testing, not to break them, but to prepare them. But the man who can command his mind, his emotions, his urges, his habits, that man can command his destiny. And once you cross this threshold, temptation stops being a threat and becomes a reminder of who you used to be, a reminder of the battles you've already won, a reminder of how far you've risen. The man who masters his temptations walks different, speaks different, thinks different, moves different. He becomes calm in chaos, unshaken by noise, unimpressed by shortcuts, unaffected by lust, untouched by distractions. Not because he's superhuman, but because he's spiritually disciplined. And the world can feel it. They feel the authority in his presence. They feel the clarity in his voice. They feel the conviction in his decisions. They feel the weight of a man who has already fought the hardest war, the war with himself, and emerged victorious. This is the destiny of such a man. He becomes a leader without trying, a protector without boasting, a guide without demanding, a warrior without chaos, a king without a throne. Because true kingship, true power, true influence, true legacy comes from the man who governs the kingdom within before he tries to govern the world outside. There comes a point in every man's journey where the battle is no longer about temptation, but about maintenance. Because once you rise above the urges that used to break you, a new responsibility sits on your shoulders. You must protect the fire that made you victorious.
I was going to say that once you beat the battle within yourself, nothing can stop you. No other battle can beat you. Because the toughest one is within you. Telling you that. Telling you that 100%. You versus you first, and you win. I know it sounds confusing, but if you get it, you get it. And you win, any other challenge standing in your way, it's easy work. It's light work.
Temptation doesn't disappear when you win. It evolves. It changes shape. It becomes quieter, smarter, more strategic. And it waits. Not for your weakness, but for your comfort. The moment a man thinks he's untouchable is the moment he becomes vulnerable. The moment he thinks he's finished growing is the moment his downfall begins. The moment he believes he's too strong to fall is the moment the enemy starts sharpening the blade. That's why the true masters never graduate from discipline. They never stop self-examining. They never stop watching their own mind. They never stop trimming the weeds in their spirit. Because they know the soul you neglect becomes the soul that betrays you.
That's the thing. You can't, once you start, you can't stop. It's forever. You know, it's ongoing. Forever and ever and ever until, your legs fall off. That's how it is. You can't let yourself slip. You can't let yourself get drifted from where you started and why you started this, So be strong. Be strong, y'all. Be strong.
Listen carefully. The man who has mastered his temptations must now master vigilance. Your victory is not a certificate. It's a contract. A lifelong agreement that says, if you want to keep this strength, you must keep earning it. The great men who survived their own greatness, the men who didn't drown in fame, power, success, desire, pride, were the men who guarded themselves ruthlessly, silently, daily, relentlessly. They watched their own hearts more closely than they watched their enemies. Because a wise man knows an unguarded spirit is more dangerous than any external threat. This is where your fate is shaped, not in the moments when you fall and rise, but in the seasons when you stand tall and refuse to let complacency rot your foundation. Every time you wake up early instead of sleeping in, you protect your fire. Every time you pray instead of scroll, you protect your fire. Every time you walk away from desire, you protect your fire. Every time you choose silence over ego, you protect your fire. Every time you keep your mind focused when the world tries to scatter it, you protect your fire. And here's the truth most men avoid because it's brutal. Mastery is not measured by how high you climb, but by how clean you remain when you reach the mountaintop. The higher you rise, the more dangerous the temptations become, not because they are stronger, but because you have more to lose. Your discipline becomes your shield. Your conviction becomes your sword. Your humility becomes your armor. Your prayer becomes your breath. Your vigilance becomes your survival. When a man protects his inner fire, God trusts him with greater weight, greater purpose, greater victories, greater influence. Because God cannot elevate a man who refuses to guard the blessings he's praying for. And this is where destiny sharpens itself. The man who guards his spirit guards his future. The man who guards his thoughts guards his direction. The man who guards his discipline guards his power. This is the part of your story where you stop being a warrior in training and become a guardian of your own kingdom, strong without arrogance, focused without fear, committed without applause, grounded without wavering, dangerous without chaos. And heaven takes note, because a man who protects his inner fire doesn't just master his temptations, he becomes untouchable. There comes a moment in a man's evolution where the war shifts from survival to sovereignty, where discipline becomes more than a habit, it becomes identity, where your prayers are no longer desperate cries for strength, but declarations of purpose, because you have become the man who acts on what he asks for. This is the highest tier of mastery, when your behavior finally aligns with the destiny God wrote for you. And hear this clearly, most men never reach this stage, not because they lack strength, but because they lack consistency of character. They rise for a season, then fall into laziness. They win a few battles, then trust their comfort more than their mission. They taste a little growth and think the journey is over. But the man who masters his temptations walks a different path. He doesn't allow a good month to erase.
I was going to say, oh, let's get a replay.
They taste a little growth and think the journey is over. But the man who masters his temptations battles, then trusts their comfort more than their mission.
That's me. I'm a victim of it, Happens to me a lot. Happens to me more times than I can remember, and it's actively something that I'm trying to bypass and evolve from. And yeah, it's all about work in progress. And I'm pretty sure he's literally about to explain what's the right mindset rather than the one that I had.
They taste a little growth and think the journey is over. But the man who masters his temptations walks a different path. He doesn't allow a good month to erase the standard he fought to build. He doesn't let convenience rewrite the values forged in pain. He doesn't allow success to make him spiritually blind. Because he knows you don't get to keep what you don't continue to protect. This is where the true crown lies. Not in the applause of the world, not in the achievements, not in being respected by men, but in being trusted by heaven. And God only places weight on shoulders that have proven worthy of carrying it. Look at the giants of history, the ones whose lives echoed beyond their lifetime. It wasn't their talent that made them legends. It wasn't their brilliance. It wasn't their gifts. It was their capacity to rule themselves when everything around them tried to pull them off course. Self-mastery is the throne every man wants, but few are willing to bleed for. Because to own your life, you must first own your impulses. To own your future, you must command your present. To own your purpose, you must bury your excuses.
Facts.
This is why most men stay ordinary. They are prisoners to their urges, slaves to distraction, servants to emotion, followers of comfort, worshippers of temporary pleasure.
He's right, man.
But not you. Not anymore. Not after everything you've walked through. Not after everything you've conquered inside yourself. Because once a man has defeated his darkest desires and walked away from everything that tried to control him, he becomes something rare, something dangerous, something unshakable. He becomes a man God can trust with vision, with leadership, with influence, with destiny. And hear this truth. The greatest reward for mastering temptation is not ease, but clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about what matters. Clarity about what you're meant to build. Clarity about what God expects from you. Your mind becomes quiet. Your heart becomes steady. Your soul becomes aligned. This is the crown. This is the reward. This is the summit every disciplined man eventually reaches. A life not controlled by emotion, not chained by impulses, not ruled by temptation, but governed by wisdom, anchored by faith, fueled by discipline. When you reach this level, your presence changes everything. People feel your certainty. They sense your restraint. They recognize your authority, not the loud, insecure kind, but the silent, spiritual, immovable kind.
This right here is the type of person I want to be, without a doubt.
Because the man who masters himself doesn't need to prove anything. His life speaks, his restraint speaks, his discipline speaks, his peace speaks, his consistency speaks, his faith speaks. This is the end of the battle, but the beginning of the reign. Because the man who can govern himself is finally ready to govern his destiny.
That's it, y'all. Wow. What an amazing video, man. Wow. Wow. If you guys want to watch this video, it's by this guy, Bahat. Bahat. That boy Bahat made this video. It's AI, but it's a banger. I'm telling you. Go ahead and buy this man a coffee, please. Really good video, y'all. Wow. Ask questions, summarize the video. I mean, we know what happened. We know the whole summarization. Let me summarize the video. Basically, don't let temptations control you. Don't be a prisoner to temptations. You know, build a routine, build that life that you always dreamed of. Be that man that you know you can be. And go ahead and strive towards that goal. You know? Basically, that's it. You know, temptations, they're definitely, they're definitely, they're definitely difficult, without a doubt. But they're not impossible. So go ahead and defeat that, man. Defeat it, bro. You got it. I don't know why, but I just seen a video. Oh man, there are really good videos right here on this list that I do want to watch, and I do have videos in the vault that I do like I want to watch, but I'm gonna wait on it. Yeah, I'm gonna wait on it. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted. But yeah, yo, W video was a banger. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let me know what y'all thought of the video. I liked it. It was very God centered, and that's what I really like. All glory to God. Give him peace, give him love, and go to him and repent your sins. You know? And what a video, guys. Holy man. Man. I, I I I just miss y'all. I'm just like looking like at everything. It's just like feels kind of weird to be here. I was here every day at some point. I will be here every single day towards the end of the month, towards the beginning of the month. I will be back, and you guys will see me back, bro. I promise you. You know, I kind of want to watch another video, but I can't. I can't. But W stream though, very good stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys don't know, I will be returning to streaming. I actually will be streaming later today. I am coming back later today, without a doubt. We're gonna be going back on Omegle. We're gonna be playing some games. Have a nice chill night. It's gonna be vibes. So make sure you guys join up. But yeah, man, there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of things happening, but you gotta let God handle it, you know? Let him handle it. Don't let yourself stress. Leave it all up to him, you know? Just make sure you're doing everything righteous and doing it correctly and doing it right. You know? That's basically it. So,
I made this animation in
oh
about
god
5.
damn it, god damn it. Ruined my outro. I'm gonna play my outro. But it was good seeing y'all. I will see y'all later. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I will see you later. Thank y'all so much, y'all. Feels good to be back. I'll be back later, though. Later tonight, I will definitely be back. So, thank you. I'm gonna see you guys later. Yo, my boy in the chat. You are lucky. I seen your chat before I just ended stream. But yo, James, what's good, James? You said Majib? Yo, Majib. Majib says, bro, do you remember me? If you don't, I used to help you with your stream. How was everything, buddy? How was your stream? Are you on Discord? No, I am not on Discord. I think I have a Discord account. I just forgot my Discord password. Not gonna lie to you. And I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't remember you. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I don't remember you. But I appreciate you for all the help, man. Thank you so much for helping me and just, always just looking out. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, my friend. I do not have Discord. I do not have Discord at all. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember you. Yes, sir. I do remember you, sir. Yes. Yes, I do remember you. He said, how was your stream? My stream was good, bro. My stream was good. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, it was nice meeting you too, my boy. Yeah, it's been a minute since I streamed, but you know what I'm saying? Life has gone the way, but I had to come back. I had to come back. But it's always good. It's always good seeing y'all, man. Bye, broski. All right, y'all. I am gone. Peace.